Gone through the review, they've all been...
Right, why don't you just announce the numbers to the public so they know what they are?
For the record, they've all been reviewed, they've all went to the various taxing entities who asked the town to adopt these numbers, so we're clear about that. The numbers are really quite simple. For the village of Portchester, we're being asked to establish a homestead-based proportion of 61.838540, a non-homestead-based proportion of 38.1614.9. I can't even read the small print. 50. For the Portchester School District, for the village of Rye Brook, we're being asked to create a homestead-based proportion of 73.912563.
Just to say 73%, and the difference is for the commercial, so...
Yes, and for the Portchester School District, we're establishing a homestead-based proportion of 61.384283. For the Blind Brook School District, we're creating a homestead-based proportion of 79.847825. I would make 1 point for the record. In all cases, the homestead-based proportions are less than those proportions adopted for the 2008 assessment roll. Why? Because we've been tracking market values. The decline in the home values are starting to be reflected in the base proportions.
Okay,
Mr. In favor of the homeowners.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the resolutions E, F, G, and H as presented by Mitchell Markowitz.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mendocino.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
And did we call the roll on D? I don't think we did call the roll. I hope. Could you call the roll on D, please? Yep.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mendocino.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Markowitz, you want to hire legal counsel? Is this you, Mr.
It's actually me,
Yeah, okay.
although they work closely with Mitch. These are a few more cases that are ripe for judicial intervention. So on two of them, I'm recommending we retain Jeff Binder, that's the Grace Church and Irving Holding. And on Resolution J, and I want to thank Hope for doing that by identifying the resolutions on the agenda so you know.
Yeah, that's great. I commented on earlier.
That we will retain Aldo Vitigliano on two matters, Lawn Terrace and 344 Irving Avenue, LLC.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve both those resolutions, I and J?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mendocino.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes. Transfer of foreclosed
All right, on
property.
K, I sent the board a memorandum dated April 21st. This is one of our in rem proceedings. It's a very unusual piece of property, as you can see in the attached map. It's a very tiny little dot. It's a triangular piece that is adjacent to lots 32 and 24. When we put this, obviously we went through this foreclosure action against a Norman Norden, who I think passed away. He had conveyed it to a Gloria, the neighboring properties to a Gloria Brody in 1984. When the auction company put the sign up, we were contacted by a Suzanne Brody, who inherited 32 and 24 from her mother, and essentially said, "Look, I'd like to square off my lot. Could I buy it from the town for the outstanding taxes and all of the fees and expenses?" Although she's not.
What's your recommendation?
That you sell it to her, because I think she's an interested party and no one else would want it.
Comments on the board?
I think that it's good housekeeping, and I think that it's cleaning up our properties here in the town of Rye. I'm in favor of it, and I'd like to make a motion that we accept this resolution as presented.
Right, it's 624169, which includes all the taxes, interest, penalties, fees, plus the 1% assessed value, even though I want to emphasize she was not the delinquent taxpayer.
Okay.
Second.
Any second? Okay.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mendocino.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Harvey.
And if I may, I did send an email to the board on another piece of property that we have foreclosed upon. It's the 451 North Main. Now, this property was part of our second batch of foreclosures. They did have an attorney. They had met with Mr. Mecca. I think they had promised to make some payments. It's a bar, restaurant. I think the staff visited it numerous times. No, I'm kidding. When they were checking it out. But anyway, no, they've been there. They've seen it. And
What's this person's?
once again,
a little different, it seems to me.
this is a commercial property. And once again, when the yellow sign showed up, I received a phone call from a woman who said she was the daughter of the owner. And she said, we had no idea.
All right, well, quite frankly,
Right.
my view on the board, I don't know. I think we're way past the 1% fee. I think it goes to 2%, and if they pay it, I don't know. Why do these people? Where the heck were these people?
I'm just a messenger.
Okay.
All I can say is they clearly had not notice of the proceeding because they had an attorney who appeared. She claimed that her father had a partner who was supposed to pay it and didn't. I think at one point she indicated the bar had been shut down for a brief period of time.
You must have to listen to it. Okay,
Yeah, I've heard them all.
Any thoughts on the board?
Absolutely not.
Do we want to?
No.
All I told her was I'd take it to the board and I'd get back to her. So.
Don't even let
I
her.
won't even take up the resolution, period. I wouldn't even vote on it if we could do that.
Then it's going to have to go to auction. She's going to pay all these fees anyway.
Well, they would have to come and buy it back at the auction if they want the building. The
Right.
building is we own it now. I explained to her. I said,
What's
in fact,
the value of the building?
I don't know, offhand.
So would it be...
$374,000.
$374,000.
And she owes us how much?
As of April 30th, $102,347.38.
That's about what we're going to get at auction.
Right.
Let her bid.
Well, I'm not. I'm not. Well, what are the other members of the board view? I agree. I'm getting closer to where you are, Counsel, and I think I empathize with your position.
So it's commercial property. This is investment property. This is not a poor bedraggled homeowner. I mean, enough is enough. But let's have a vote. Put it to a vote.
Does anybody any other thoughts, comments before we? I'm happy to up the penalty fee. It is getting.
Mr. Supervisor, I agree with what Councilman Gelfarb is saying. This isn't someone's home, where redemption brings a better way of life to a family, and obviously we're not hearing what's the dialogue that's happening between Attorney Noto and the homeowners or the property owners, but I guess there comes a time when ignorance is not the response anymore.
Well, I don't think they can even claim ignorance, right? Because the attorney knew. Yeah.
No, they knew. They were in Mr. Mecca's office all the
It
time.
might not be where they live, but it's their livelihood.
Well, here's the thing, though, Michelle, and I agree with that, but they hired an attorney that contacted the town. The attorney knew about it. I think
agree.
the onus is on
Mr.
the
Mecca, can
attorney.
you shed any light on this?
That's exactly.
Would you get up? Can you just come up, please? Just.
What he's saying is exactly the truth. They were aware of it because they came forward with an attorney who I told them they have to get representation if they wanted to delay any proceedings, and that's what they did, is had the attorney contact Mr. Noto, who at that point said that they would come up with some payments. And he said, well, no, you can't come up with payments anymore. You're kind of late in here. They want to come with $30,000. So that, is not going to cut it. So then we've proceeded to the next step of foreclosing, filing foreclosure. Now they've come forward 2 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago? Well,
No, actually last week.
last week.
Yeah.
It says, we have the money now. I said, well, you have to deal with Mr. Noto because everything is signed, sealed, and delivered on the property. It's owned by the town of Rye. So they contacted Paul. Paul called me. I said, well, here's the figure as it stands right now, $102,000. So he approached her, and she said, yes, we'll come up with the money, which hasn't come up yet, by the 30th to redeem title. So that's where we stand on that. But to say they didn't know, that is not true.
So they had an attorney. The attorney was in the middle of this. It's the attorney's responsibility to protect its client's interests.
Well,
And I think that's something that's very relevant to this case. We had a similar situation with a commercial property where the family and the attorney, two attorneys actually, came forward at a most recent meeting. that came and presented in front of the board, pled their case. There's nobody here representing this case. This